CrossFit is somewhat of a therapy. If all of my experience was combined, like sports wise, CrossFit is number one. With basketball, you win as a team. With drag race, the work is more of like timing and money. With CrossFit, it's more intimate. Yes, we are a big community. At the same time, we're small compared to any other sports. It also makes it more intimate when you're really good with the people in your box. Do you want to see your kids, grandkids? You don't want to get all these diabetes and all this high blood pressure. You got to break the cycle now.
If there was one thing the world was asking for, it was for one more podcast about CrossFit. Well, here we are anyways. This is the Silverback Media Podcast, where we share the stories of the everyday CrossFitter so that more people are encouraged and empowered to try it themselves. Here's your host and everyday CrossFitter, Marco Mejia.
What is happening, Silverback Media crew? Welcome back to the Silverback Media Podcast, the podcast for you, the everyday CrossFitter. Now, my guest on the show this week is Gio Ortega. You may know Gio better by his Instagram handle, which is The Scaled Athlete. Gio is an everyday CrossFitter based in Virginia, training at a CrossFit Centerville, and he's sharing his CrossFit journey on his Instagram account. I highly suggest you go follow it. And in this conversation, you hear about what it was like for Gio growing up splitting time between the USA and the Philippines, how that impacted his early experiences in the gym, ultimately how that led him to CrossFit through some tough times in his life that pushed him to refocus on his health and on his fitness as a priority. And then ultimately, once he found CrossFit before the 2024 Open, which we will talk about, then he talks about how that turned into him becoming more active on social media, working on building the Scaled Athlete brand, but not only influencing on social media, but how that influence really started at home with his friends and his family. It's a great, great conversation. I'm super appreciative to Gio for opening up and sharing about his backstory. Make sure to go give him a follow at Scaled Athlete on Instagram. And now, with that being said, that is 33 down, 10,000 to go. Now let's go talk to Gio. All right, Gio Ortega, aka the Scaled Athlete. Welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you on.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. So, I always like to go and start with people at the beginning. Well, I guess before we get to the beginning, I mean, it's just kind of, this is a fun connection because I came across your content on Instagram. I think one of the first reels that I came across was the one that it was, why do CrossFitters train box jumps so much? Which, by the way, you were doing some real smooth, like 30-inch box jump overs. I'm like, damn, look at this guy. He's bouncy. And it was the one then where it's like, then it cuts to a guy like jumping off the hood of a car that's like spinning out in front of him.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's a funny one. So I think that was one of the ones that really, really took off for you, right?
Yeah, that's one of the ones, and for some reason, like a lot of people was also like resharing it and like putting their own twist on it, which I'm glad. Like I was like, wow, I didn't expect it to like take off that much, but like it is what it is. Like social media is like a free market, so I'm not mad about it. I'm actually glad.
Yeah, that's one of those cool things where you see it and you're like, hey, like I think I know where you got that idea from. Like that's pretty cool. You're a trendsetter, man.
Yeah, look at me.
I get it, and I've had some other content creators and stuff on before too, and something I always like to ask is like when you're coming up with an idea or editing something or something like that, like how do you know when something's done? Like when what's your sign when you're editing something that you're like, all right, I'm ready to share this one.
I actually don't have an actual like goal. I guess I play it by feel. I play it by does this make me laugh already? And if it does, and then I would like try to like hit record, put it on trial maybe, and then like in the first, let's say first hour, it goes really bonkers, and I'll be like, okay, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I always use trials recently, which means I would like top it off, do like probably different hook, probably different. I think on that specific one that you told me about, I said, why do CrossFitters do box jumps a lot? I also have one that says, why do Filipinos do box jumps a lot? So CrossFit or Filipino, like whichever picks up first, I would know like, oh, this one gets more traction. So then, that's how I use the trial reel. So then it helps me out a little bit. And, sometimes I just go full on send and just go do it. I guess my goal was the only goal that I would be like, I try to like keep it on 15 to 30 seconds if
Yeah.
I can, but it's kind of hard sometimes, like, being original and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure people already have thought about stuff and probably something out there as well. So yeah, I mean,
No, I keep seeing that trial reel feature thing on there, and I haven't played around with it yet. So if that's been helpful for you, I may have to mess around with that just to play around with those different hooks, like you said. I feel like that'd be a good indicator
right,
before it really goes out there, just to see like, oh, let's see what this one's gonna do. So no, and that's good, I like the way you approach it because I know scrolling through your page. I know that you do have a few of them where it's like, oh, whether it's CrossFit or Filipino as the hook. And I think you mentioned right before we recorded, you grew up in the Philippines or lived there for a little bit of time. Is that right?
right, right.
Yeah.
So I was born in Anaheim,
Okay.
but yeah, I grew up in the Philippines, so I bounced back and forth both places. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, gotcha. When did you, settle in or like how often would you go back and forth between the two while you were growing up?
Growing up, I would go probably like every year, and then
Okay.
finally, I went to college in the Philippines, and then I went after college. I went back here in the States, and now I'm here.
What was college like in the Philippines? That's just my own curiosity creeping.
I I would say, for lack of a better word, it would be really laid back. Just laid back in the sense like everything's kind of close, like proximity wise. So you know how like when you're in college, you don't just go to school. You would like have sometimes you would cut classes, go do X, Y, and Z, go to the beach, go to the mountains.
I would never cut
Everything's
class. I would
accept.
never, ever, ever, ever cut class.
You're not gonna
I
cut
only say that because my
CrossFit
mom my
class.
mom listens. That's the reason. Okay, so yeah, sorry to interrupt. Okay, so
Yeah, everything's in close proximity. So like let's say you're in class, and sometimes you have that 4 hour of blank, right? No period at all in that 4 hours. So like, okay, what am I gonna do for 4 hours? Sometimes you take a nap. Sometimes you go, I don't know, go to the beach. Sometimes you go to mountains and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's all accessible. So it's pretty fun.
nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and so while you were growing up, this is backtracking a little bit. While you're growing up, kind of going between Anaheim and the Philippines, were you into sports? Were you into activities? I mean, bouncing back and forth, was it like tough to settle into any one routine or activity or thing that you were into?
So I never really got into sports until I was in uh I'd say second year of high school. I
Okay.
was
Okay.
always a video game nerd, I guess. Like I
Nice.
like Marvel comics, I like DC, I like all of this nerdy stuff. But then I got challenged by my cousin, RJ. Shout out. Um, One day I went back to the Philippines from California, and he really like challenged me. I was like, "Oh, I just got back from California. I don't want to play basketball." Yada yada yada. I was like, "Okay." I mean, and then it just like marinated in my mind. I was like, "Wow, this is how he thinks about me." Like, I don't know. I don't do any physical activity. So then one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go play basketball, and I keep on going. Like, basketball is really big in the Philippines. So yeah,
Really?
I mean, yeah. And then that same year, I made it to the school basketball team, played basketball. I think basketball was just my sport, and basketball, and then I tried track to get an extra credit. So, so yeah, I mean, so I did basketball and then track, but then I wasn't really good at it. I mean, I'm just mediocre at best. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. I didn't realize Philippine or basketball was big in the Philippines. I mean, when you went back for college, did you play at all or keep up with it when you were in school playing basketball at all?
So in school with basketball, I tried. I went for a tryout, but
Mm,
I'm not the tallest. I'm not the best.
yeah.
I was there. I would play for like the intramurals, like the college
Mm,
things, but I never made it in the team. Back in college, I used to do drag racing, like with cars.
Dang, nice. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and then it's like really expensive, and then yeah, I had to like give that hobby up because I can't move forward in life. It's just too much money.
I have
Yeah.
so many questions. Okay, so I got to get a couple questions off about drag racing. So are you like, I mean, are you with a team of people that you're doing that and trying to get, because like you said, it's an expensive hobby to like get, you got to get a car, you've got to actually put the equipment on it to like, be fast enough to properly race, right? Like, is that just you like scrapping it all together? Is that a group of you that are getting into it and pulling money together to make it happen? Like, how does that work?
So, well, my first vehicle was a Nissan Sentra, which was I
Nice.
think it was a 92.
Okay.
So it's like really old. And then we just started working on it. One of my friends, one of my best friends, his uncles are is already they already have a shop. So we would just go there, and then if there's like spare parts, we would use it,
Hmm.
and like we would drag race with it, and then sometimes like there's money involved, like kind of like gambling ish. So then
Okay.
once you win something, you put it in the car, and then rinse and
Ah,
repeat kind of thing. So that's how we made it work.
nice.
And then yeah, it's usually like scrapyard and like or like hand me downs or like one of the uncles got like, oh, I got a new whatsoever, and then oh, that would fit your old one could fit my car, so like let me have that. So yeah, it's like you fight for those stuff.
Well, that is awesome. What kind of like an adrenaline rush would it be when it's like leading up to the race and the actual race going on? I mean, because are those races, they're not lasting very long, are they? Right? Like
Yeah,
they're pretty short. They're
they're
pretty
like
quick, right?
yeah, probably like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, like let's
Hmm.
say let's say let's say 15 to 20 seconds, like it's
Okay.
like, but then there's this thing called the quick eight, which usually they're like below sub 10 seconds.
Okay.
And I've never made that far. I was like, wow, like this is just so scary. Yeah, like one wrong mistake, like you're done. Like you lose or you literally get really hurt, right?
What's the fastest you've ever driven in a car? Now I've got to know, just like the top speed that you can remember.
Uh well, I don't know what the speed is because usually when you're drag racing, you don't really look at the speedometer. You
Good
just
point.
time it, you listen
Yeah.
to like your engine, you time it, you play by feel.
Hmm.
I would say like the quickest I've done from zero to finish line, from start line to finish line would be, I'd say like 18 seconds.
18 seconds. Okay. How far is that?
Yes,
Like roundabout distance wise?
quarter meter. I mean quarter
Quarter
mile. Sorry.
quarter mile. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do some math after because we can figure we can figure out exactly what that velocity was. But damn, that's awesome. And that's a good point. That it's like, I'm sure when you're in the middle of a race, you're not like, let me look down really quick and check my spit out. You're probably like, I need to be glued in on what's
Right,
happening in
right.
front of this car right now.
Yeah.
Man, that's exciting. That sounds really freaking cool. Oh, goodness gracious. As you were going through all that, let's say, between playing basketball, maybe the drag racing, maybe not as much. I mean, you tell me. Were for basketball, let's say, I'm sure, were you, was that one of your first exposures to like in the gym, like working out, true, more of a true exercise component of things? Like, was that yeah, I know you said before that you were more video games, nerd stuff, we'll call it, right?
Right, right.
Your words. But once you got into basketball, was that your first exposure to like, all right, like let's lift some weights, let's get into some, more of that the exercise side of things.
So I got in basketball. I never thought that I needed to lift weights.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I mean, I know I'm fast. I could dribble. I could shoot hoops. And then at some point during the basketball training, we went to the gym. I was like, oh, I need to do this. That's when I'm kind of like, I'm really intimidated with especially traditional weightlifting traditional gym.
Okay.
So every time it's a gym session, I'm like, I would just, I would like make myself really small and just be in like the gray area until like coach gets me and like, yeah, you need to do X, Y, Z. You need to do shoulders, you need to do legs. So yeah, I would do the bare minimum in the gym
Yeah.
because right after the gym session is where you do the shooting drills and stuff, right? So then
Mm.
every time you're already sore from the gym, you go to shoot and you're just really off, right? But then that also plays in part of like, like with being better in basketball. But it really never clicked on me until like a year or two afterwards. But yeah, that is my first exposure to the gym. And then I got into college and I was like, oh, everybody's in the gym. And I was like, maybe I'll go to the gym to get girls. That was the goal. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get buff and like get girls. And then it never happened, right? What I got is
Getting into
more
the
guy
gym or
friends.
the getting girls part?
The getting girls part is where I'm like, I got more guy friends afterwards. It's like, oh, like I get more compliments from guys than girls. Like, it's like that's not the goal here, but okay.
It's like not what I went into for, but I guess it's all right. We got a
Yeah.
friend group. You, you mentioned there was an intimidation factor when you first started those workouts, like with the basketball team, and how you kind of responded to that in those moments early on. What was, if you had to put some words to like what the intimidation was from, like what would you say looking back on that now? Like where was that intimidation coming from?
It's more of, I guess, being a dude. It's more of like, oh, you could only lift one plate, right? Why don't you slap
Mm.
another plate on it, right? It's more of like, to me, it feels like I'm having a constant stage fright every single time I go in the bar or lift weights, especially like one, the team's looking, right? And
Mhm,
then of
mhm.
course, like being in college, being in high school, kids are not nice, right? Everyone's like, oh yeah, you're so weak, you're this, you're that, right? So being a nerd, a video game nerd, I am I feel like I'm so buff in video games. I'm like X, Y, and Z, and I'm so cool at it. But in the real world, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm just skinny.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
it.
where the intimidation comes from. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's a really, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because I feel like there's a, and I mean this is a little bit of fast forwarding in your story, right? Was there any of that you felt like maybe when you first started CrossFit then down the road, and we'll come back around and piece back together the story, but I feel like that can be a common type of intimidation that people might feel before they decide to step into a CrossFit gym, or even in their first couple times going into a class, right? Is that feeling of like, oh, everybody's looking at me, what if I don't do it exactly right or whatever? And that thought can, I mean, it can keep people out of a gym for a good amount of time. Like, did you feel that at all when CrossFit came around?
So short answer, yes. But
Mm.
like what happened to me in basketball, I was challenged to
Mm.
do a certain movement. And then that's my drive to like, okay, let me go try CrossFit.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so then that's where I was. So yes,
Okay.
same intimidation, yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then once we get to that point, I do want to come back to that to see like, okay,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it
yeah.
felt like to once it finally worked out of that. But I feel like we skipped a whole bunch of story there. So this
Right.
is just okay. Okay, so you're okay. So now you're in college, right? You're still working out, on the get girls plan that turned into the get guy friends plan.
Exactly.
What were those workouts like? Was that just like typical classic
Yeah.
bro sessions, a little maybe some legs here and there?
So yeah, it's always like it's those old school things, but I was never really taught of like how to lift weights. It's just like what I see, right? And I have one friend who's like, oh yeah, I do chest and bicep and then back and tricep, then legs and shoulders. That
Legs and
routine.
shoulders is a nasty. That's a nasty combo.
yeah,
Ooh.
so what I do was like, okay, I'll do chest and bicep. Maybe I'll do back and tricep, and then
Hmm.
I'll do shoulders. Of course, I always skip legs. Like back in the day, I was like, I'm not gonna do legs. This is just too much, right? And then I did that for like I don't know, like all of college. Well, two years of college, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I'd rather just party and drink
Hmm.
and like with drag racing, I'm always out at night, so like there's really no structure.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess the structure is partying. I
Hmm.
go to the gym around noon ish, get that little pump for my
Hmm.
bicep, my shoulder, my chest, and then I go take a nap and then go drag race at night or show off my car at night and drink, and then that was the cycle.
Oh,
It was
wow.
not really, it's not fitness geared.
Yeah. Geared, no pun
Yeah,
intended. With
exactly.
the car. Sorry, had to say it. No, so that one, I mean, so that's a couple year stretch. Then that's the last couple of years of college, essentially, for you. That was
Yeah,
kind of following that cycle. What about then? Once you graduated college, then yeah, what did that next chapter look like? Was that when you moved back to the States after that?
yeah. So got back to the States. I was like still partying. I was
Mhm.
partying till like probably 2016.
Wow. Okay. What year did you graduate
So
college?
2011. So it was
2011.
like
Okay. Okay.
a
Gotcha.
lot. And then I slowly slowed down 2016, and I tried to like go back to the gym, and then
Hmm.
didn't really happen because I was like, I'll do it Monday, I'll do it next year, I'll do it whatever, right? And then I found that I was looking for that adrenaline rush.
Mm. Mhm.
Then I found rock climbing.
Oh,
Yeah. So
oh, talk
then,
about yeah, goodness gracious. Yeah, seriously. Wow.
so I did rock climbing around 2018 to 2020. And I had a lot of fun with that because I got that rush again, right? Like I actually fell off backwards from like the roof of the warehouse, right? And I had my brother to like catch me through the rope. Um, so yeah, it was on me though. It was like I had to like like know where to place my feet, and it was a mistake on my part. Like my brother might be listening to this. It's not a dig on you. It was
He's
my
like, yeah, you
fault.
better say. He's like, I saw the whole thing. That was you.
Exactly. So yeah, I got that rush back, and I was like, yeah, this is so cool. And
Yeah.
then pandemic hit, so then
Oh,
everything closed. So I'm like, oh
oh
my
my
gosh, what
gosh.
am I gonna do? So then I went back to drinking. I went back to a lot of binge drinking and any other stuff. And I, I
Yeah.
eat I eat a lot too. So like almost every other day I'd be drunk.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
so then 2021, I guess, is when I was like, okay, I really need, because of pandemic, right? And I work in the
Mm.
health field. I see a
Okay.
lot of this crazy stuff happening, and I kind of like snowballed into like somewhat of a depression. And
Mm.
uh in Filipino culture, there's no such thing as mental health. It's like it's a phase. You're not depressed. You just think you're depressed, but you are not.
So
So
how did that?
yeah,
How did
good.
that? I mean, like talking to if you were trying to talk to family members or things like that about what you were going through, or was it one of those where you kind of knew that, so you didn't even think to bring it up to anybody? Like, yeah, how did that influence how you responded to what you were feeling in that time?
Well, at first I didn't really try to approach family because I was like, I knew growing up, like I have some friends' family who's like, I lost someone in suicide, I lost someone from depression, and it's always like, oh, it's just a phase and whatever, right? And so I never really talked about it. And then once I do, it's just to be like, oh yeah, cool story, bro. So
You're like, thanks,
so
appreciate that. I just poured my heart out, and that's what I got
yeah,
back. Yeah, great.
right. So then
Um,
I was like, okay, what am I gonna do next, right? So then I tried boot camps. Like it was, I think it was 2021 when I tried boot camps. And then every time my siblings would come visit, I'd be like, "Hey, let's go check out that boot camp place." I would like bring
Yeah.
them there, and then I they're not a big fan of it until I got my sister. I got my sister to get hooked on it, and she kept going. Like every time they come visit, we drink, right?
Okay.
At
Yeah.
one point, my sister's there. I got her to uh join that boot camp, and then she didn't like it at first, right? But I was like, I'm not gonna hang out with you if we don't go to boot camp, right? So then we did go to boot camp, and then we would drink, and then boot camp again, drink, boot camp, and eventually drinking was just, part of, let's say it's going to be once a month now, once a month thing,
Mm,
right? And then I found Spartan.
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I found Spartan, and I was just head over heels from it. I was like, wow, like this is so cool. It's a lot of positivity every time
Yeah.
I go in. Like even right now, talking about it, it's giving me goosebumps. Uh,
What was
because
that?
like,
What? Yeah. 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 Go ahead. Go ahead. You're going where what I was gonna ask about. Yeah.
yeah, because going to Spartan, the moment you get into the location,
Mm.
you just feel like everybody's just like so pumped. We're just gonna go and run this hill, do the obstacle courses. We're all suffering all together, right?
Mm.
Everybody is so nice. I don't hear any politics. I don't hear any, I don't know, like I don't nobody's really talking about anything except for the goal of finishing the race. And it's like kind of like you versus you unless you're elite, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I did a whole 3 years of it, like
Nice.
trying to do trifectas, I guess, because there was a goal. A trifecta was a goal. And then I was like, oh, I got one trifecta. Let me do it two trifecta, and then three
What's the
trifectas.
what is the trifecta? Just say I'm not. Yeah. What is the
So
trifecta in that?
so in Spartan, there's three major races, which is a
Right.
sprint, super, and a beast. A sprint is a 5K, super is a 10, and a beast is, I think, 13 miles.
Damn.
Nah, I could be wrong. It's 15K. Sorry,
Okay. 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 So I mean, that's probably like 10 miles. Yeah.
10 miles
Because
is
if a 5K is
10K. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're
5K is
right.
3.2. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere, yeah, close to 10 miles. Damn. So, okay. So
yeah.
doing one of each of those is considered a
Then you get
trifecta.
trifecta. You get triangle, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
so then so every race you do, you get a medal and then a part of that triangle, right?
Oh, that's
So
pretty cool.
so it's like more of like, oh, I'm gonna go collect this. I was like, dude, remember, I was a nerd, right? So I was like, in
That's where
PlayStation, you
my
get
mind was going.
yeah. I was like, oh, achievement unlocked. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. So that's where I was, and I was like, oh, I'll collect all those pieces. And eventually, that piece, I was like, oh, they sold this. If you get three triangles, you could actually collect. You could actually combine all of those three triangles to make a pyramid. I was like, okay, I want to do that next.
That sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, and then
That sounds
after that
awesome.
was an ultra, which is I think like more or less like 30
30K.
kilometers. Yeah.
Damn.
So I
Okay.
did that
Okay.
once. And then that's when I was like, okay, after the ultra, I think I'm just gonna do this once a year on my
Mm,
birthdays. Right.
nice.
So that's where I'm at now. And then um I've again influenced my sister to
Mm,
join me on those mud races, right? And then I just remember like the first time we did a Tough Mudder because I
mm.
think Tough Mudder is more of like a more friendlier uh cousin or sister to Spartan.
Makes sense.
So
I've done one. I did a half Tough Mudder, and it was funny as you were
uh
kind of describing the environment around a Spartan race. I'm like, that sounds almost exactly like a Tough Mudder. I mean, it was surprising to me too, right? Because I was showing up, I was getting there, and I had like not knowing any different, had to like prepared a good amount for it,
right.
right? And it was a half one, so I was like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good for it. And as you're at the starting line, someone comes on the megaphone, they're like, hey, like yes, it's a race, but like help each other out. Like, if you see somebody struggling, like help them over an obstacle. And I was like, I didn't expect that. I was like, I thought this was a race. And immediately, and then
Exactly.
as soon as we get to like the first obstacle, you see people, I'm like, okay, cool. This is what we're doing. And I'm all about it. I'm like, I know I did all the preparation stuff, but whatever. Like, it sounds like that's not like, that wasn't the point. And that's not the vibe. And they're, like, I'm sure probably like Spartan Race, there's the elites and everything. And it's like, okay, you guys go
Exactly.
do your thing. Right. But for the rest of us, it's like, it's, we're challenging ourselves, but we're all doing it together. So everybody help someone out if you see someone that needs it too. It sounds like Spartan Race is a similar message, similar vibe that they're going for, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but Tough Mudder was bought by Spartan. So they're in
Oh,
one company now. So um, it's similar, still the same competition. Like, they're still competing between both brands, but they're still in the same umbrella now. Um, but yes, that's like one thing that got me when I first went for my Spartan race. I was so intimidated. It's like it's a Spartan race, right? I was like, man, like I'm supposed to be chiseled. I'm supposed to be like lifting, I don't know, 315. I was like, man, I can't do this, but I have to train for it. And then once you're there, I was like, oh, it's more of a community. And that's how
yeah,
I that's what got me hooked with it, right?
gotcha.
And
That makes sense.
every time I go, I always see people that I met somewhere every time. And I'm like, wow, like, dude, like you're still here, you're still doing this. And you remember we met on X, Y, and Z, and like you probably won't remember. I wouldn't remember as well, but I know your face. Right. And
Like
then,
I've seen you before, like a
yeah,
little bit covered with mud or something, but I've
yeah,
seen you before. I know what you look like. Um, Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I didn't realize there were so many different levels and distances and things like that. And I feel like that's such a cool component of like getting the medals and you get a piece of the triangle. That's just like that
yeah,
extra little bait to be like, keep going. Like
exactly.
this is pretty cool.
Yeah. They're baiting
Like,
me. They just want to take my money.
yeah, it's like, yeah, probably partially, but also like, hey, if it keeps you going, it keeps you training, right? It's like
Right, right.
that's good on its own. I want to go back to something you mentioned a little. So you mentioned, 2016 ish was when you found rock climbing, and that kind of like, that's where you kind of came out of that first stretch of like the kind of intense partying, drinking age, and then you kind of hit that phase again a little bit 2020, and then once you found the Spartan or the boot camps, right, was when that brought you out of that. In each of those situations, and it might be different answers, right? Did you have anything specific at the towards the tail end of each one of those phases where you were like, all right, I got to do something different here because like this trajectory that I'm going on with the drinking, the partying, whatever the details of that look like in those phases. Like if I keep doing this, this isn't going to end well, so I got to do something different. Like was it just like a wake up one day and be like I got to change it, or did something happen that like, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of woke you up to like, all right, I got to change something. At Silverback Media, we believe the world is a better place with more people involved in CrossFit. And big part of that is making sure that these stories and this podcast continues to spread so others can hear it and know that they're capable of doing it too. A big thing that you can do to help with that is to make sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on, whether that's Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Go to Instagram, follow our account at Silverback Media. That's the way that we can make sure that this thing continues to spread and we get more people involved doing CrossFit. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. And now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. With the 2020, well, with the 2016 ones, I guess I just noticed that like a lot of my friends, a lot of my best friends are like, oh, they're actually making things on their own, like they have
Hmm.
a good stable job. They're like, I don't know, like having a long-term partner
Mm.
and like not being on the scene anymore of like partying and drag racing and all whatsoever. And just got me thinking like, what am I doing with my life, right? Like all I'm
Mm.
doing, I'm just looking forward for the next high, right? I'm looking forward for when's the next event, when's the next person who's gonna come into my life, and um yeah, I was like, what am I doing, right? And
Mhm.
eventually I was like, okay, I can't really get to that goal if I'm not working on myself. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to like maybe stick on a sport, right? So then I found rock climbing, and
Nice.
with rock climbing, I really loved it because there's structure. Rock climbing is like a puzzle, right? So like gotta piece everything that way you could reach that top goal. And then when pandemic hit, I guess that depression I felt was the reason why I wanted to get into fitness, get better. And also I was like, I want to be there for my grandkids, for my kids, for like, like I want to be there. I want longevity at that point.
Mhm.
So then that's why I'm like, okay, I need to like do something, change something, right? My family has history of high blood pressure, diabetes. Most Filipinos do. So I was like, I need to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And I can't break that cycle if I'm not doing it on my own, right? So that's where I started. And then I guess I influenced my sister. My sister influenced the other brothers. And then now what I noticed, like my sister has a big group of friends and they're now all running. They're all runners now. Like, whoa, look at that.
That is
I was
awesome.
like mentally, I was like, I'm taking credit for that. But, of course, they're never going to know about me.
They're like, they're never gonna know where this started from, but I know.
Yeah, I
I know.
know. I did it.
Man, that is such a cool story. And I commend you for all that, right? Because it's like, you know, so much of this is I had an episode that came out recently with a lady that she actually her family is from Mexico. And even but somewhat similar to how you said, like the Filipino culture, like high blood pressure, diabetes, like it's just kind of a thing there. I mean, the Mexican culture, generally speaking, I know it's not everybody, right? But there's I'm Latin Hispanic too, right? There's a lot of food
Right.
that's involved in that culture,
Exactly.
right? and she talked about how that was a big influence on her family, and there was a lot of it was like family members believing like, hey, this is a genetic thing, like the unhealthy overweight side of things, and she was determined to break that cycle. And it's so cool to hear because it's like that can be such a strong motivator, especially when you start thinking about like you said, kids, grandkids, things like that. For you, and it's the same for her as well, right? Is that motivation to be like, yeah, I know we might say we believe that, but like, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna fall into that, right? Like
Right.
I'm gonna at least try to change it. And then now you can see and look at all the, your own little your own ripple effect of influence just in your own family, right? And that doesn't even go for, the following you're building on social media, right? But that's just like your own family. And it's like there's nothing better than that. And I'm sure that that's not what you set out to do, right? Um, but now probably looking back on it and seeing it, you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Like, how much do you think about that? Of like, you know, um, the kind of impact that even just taking those small steps for yourself has had.
So in the beginning, I haven't really thought about it
Mm,
until a cousin and a friend told me, like, hey, like I've seen you post X, Y, and Z with all of your Spartan races or your Tough Mudder. And this is just on my private, right? And on my
mm,
personal page. And then somebody told me, like, hey, why don't you try be a fitness influencer? I was like, dude, I'm not the most jacked. Nobody's gonna follow me. I mean, I'm not even the tallest. I'm probably like the smallest person you'll ever see. But then they were like, oh yeah, you're small, but you got big energy, and then you gotta just like do it, right? And then
mm,
eventually more and more people tells me that, made me think like, yes, I did influence X, Y, and Z, this group of people. I mean, my goal was to actually start influencing my family, and I made it happen. Right now, the only biggest challenge is my mom, right? But then
mm.
my mom is somewhat there. She would go for walks. She would go for, like healthier food now. And
Yeah.
I was like, good, right? So
Yeah.
now moms would have a bigger network if we really think
Hmm.
about like imagine like what's that called? Farmville. Have you ever played Farmville in Facebook?
Yeah. I used to play
Can
it a
you
lot.
imagine how many can you imagine how many people my mom played Farmville with? Like all those people, if they see my mom, like, oh, she got healthier, yada yada yada. Let's go do that too. So then I was like, oh, that's my goal now. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll do social media. And I tried it. I mean, I never really wanted to do it,
Yeah.
but now it's there, and I was like, oh, I'm having fun with it, and here I am.
Dude, that is awesome. And it's like my like it's one of those weird things. Okay, so I mean, then we'll get to the because we're this far into it. We haven't even brought up your starting CrossFit yet. Um, you know, there's I don't know if you feel this, but like if you ever post something or whatever, and it just kind of like flops and doesn't really go anywhere, right? Like minimal views compared to whatever else, right? And it can be a little bit like it can be frustrating, right? And then you're like, all right, well, you get to a point where you're like, all right, cool, just on to the next one, right? But it's like there's still like remembering that there's still people that saw it and might have had some sort of positive effect from it, or like you can see your family, and then you could be like, what am I? Let me see if I can wrap this question up the right way. Sometimes this is my own feeling, my own thought. It can be easy to get caught up in like trying to influence so many people that it's easy to forget the people closest to you that you've already had an influence on. You know what I mean? I don't know if you feel that too, but like just hearing your story and like how that's impacted your family just from your own story too. Like that's got to be something really cool to be able to come back to and be like, man, like this is really cool to see how things are, the direction of you know the health of your family, right? Not to be too super philosophical about it, right? But from your own actions and kind of starting to have that influence, like that's got to be a really really cool feeling to have for you.
Yes, it actually is. It's more of like, yes, I do social media, right? I try
Mm.
to influence people in a bigger scale. But what I notice is you don't really need to do that. Let's say there's no internet tomorrow. Nobody's gonna see my videos. Nobody's gonna laugh about my videos. But internally, there's a lot of things that I've been doing that's not even documented, right? Like
Mm.
one thing that I really, really, it's like a core memory of mine now, I guess. Uh, I took my daughter hiking, right?
Mm.
And then we went and like on our way back down, we saw a family, and then there's the dad was he was sitting down on one of the boulders, and he was like, I really I think I can't move forward anymore, yada yada yada. So then I was like, okay, I mean, let me just check on them, right? So I went and checked, and I was like, hey, I have a snack bar. Maybe you're just uh low on blood sugar, right? I gave that snack bar to him, and he was grateful, right? Of course. And he got up. They went on their hike. I never really thought about it at all, right? But on the drive home, my daughter was like, "Dad, that's really nice of you. Like that's like I've never really you're so nice to other people, even though they don't even they you could have charged them for that bar of protein, right?" And I was like thinking in my mind, it's like, wow, like you don't really know who you're influencing, and the person who I'm really invested on influencing the most actually saw this happening firsthand, right? So I was like, wow, like it's yeah, I have to like really look what I'm doing, and I have to like be really careful. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a really good
Well,
experience.
man, I got chills hearing that story. I've got young kids as well. I've got a 6-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy, and it's just like, yeah, like that. It amazes me whenever you'll do something or you'll say something, and then immediately they just start saying the same thing right back, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's my
Right.
reminder. Like, Like they are always watching and listening. And so, yeah, I'm sure for you, like for her to see that and have that stick with her to the point to bring it up later, like that's got to be a really cool, super cool moment for you. But, oh man, wow, I got chills. Okay. Okay. So then you're doing your Spartan races. Sorry. Now we're going to kind of veer back. So you're going through you're doing the Spartan races. You do you're doing the ultra races, right? Or you did one of those. At what point in there did you first hear about CrossFit? Or did that become something that you were like, all right, I think, what are they doing over there? What's that craziness they got going on over there?
Okay, so remember I told you I got into CrossFit because of a challenge again.
Yeah.
I have one of my
I think there's a
friends,
theme. There's a common theme coming up here,
right?
right?
So again, remember I said I was really intimidated with weights. I was really intimidated with the traditional gyms setup. Um, but one of my friends was like, "You're really doing a lot with your Spartan races. Like you need to go influence people, X, Y, and Z." That same friend said, "Why don't you try CrossFit?" He's been grilling me for like months doing it, right? And I was like, you guys don't even do a correct pull up, right? I'm one of those guys. I was like, you don't even do those stuff, right? And then he was like, okay, why don't you just try it and do a bar muscle up? Once you can do a bar muscle up, you're done. Sure, whatever. So I'm like, bar muscle up, that's easy, sure. And I tried it, I can't do it. I was like, all right, fine. I'm gonna try and sign up for a CrossFit and I'll do it on a Monday. And then he kept on grilling me. And then eventually, you know what? I'll just do it next year. And 2024 came. 2024, the year 2024, if you look it up, January 1st, it's a Monday. So I had no excuse.
That was like everything aligned. It's like it's
Yeah.
the new year. It's a Monday. Come on, where are
Yeah.
you?
So, okay, I was like, all right, I'm a man of my word. I'm gonna go do it. So I tried it and I was like, okay, just bar muscle up. That's all I need to do, right? So I kept doing whatever the program is, but I before class, I mean after classes, I would like try to like do pull ups or whatsoever. And I kept asking coaches like, "Hey, how do I get bar muscle ups?" And she could like teach me and X, Y, Z, right? Eventually, the open started, and I was like, "All right, let me try it out. I guess it's only $20. I'll try it. Sure." Got my bar muscle up there, and I was like, "All
Oh,
right, I'm
really?
done."
Was
Yes,
that 24.3 would have been the bar? Was that the thruster chest to bar and then thruster bar muscle up one? I think, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But then it was like a heavier complex, I think, and I was like I said, like I don't really lift.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I got the bar muscle up. My first bar muscle up was probably a week before the open,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and
Okay.
then the gym just erupted. I was like, whoa! Like I wish I had like those meta glasses back then. I was like, man, I was like, wow, like it's this much excitement for me to get that bar muscle up. And then I was like, okay, I signed up for the open. I got another bar muscle up in the open, and it was just crazy, right? And then that's why I got hooked. I was like, yeah, these people don't know me, right?
Yeah.
I only see them like 45 minutes in a day, probably. And yeah, like this is it. Like, so then I got stuck. I got hooked. I'm still here. Uh yep. Still stuck with the double unders though. I got a bar muscle up, but no double unders.
Man, that is such a like. I'm sure there are plenty of people that have had that order of things. Those feel like two of the movements that people get stuck on the most. Are the ones that people want the most is like bar muscle ups and double unders. Those seem to be two common ones. So for you to have gotten the bar muscle up right before the open too, man, what
Right.
good timing. But that's where, and I mean, I'm sure now you've had now I guess last year was your second open, right? So you felt like the
Yeah.
the the magic of the open, right, come up. So man, the fact that you got to be on the receiving end of that magic right at this as you were kind of starting CrossFit. Goodness gracious, like how could you turn back from that, right? From
Right.
after having an experience like that. That's unbelievable. That's so cool.
It
You
is.
got to
It
ask the
is.
owners of that. You got to ask the owners of that gym if they have this like security camera footage or
Yeah, I
something.
wish they do. Actually, one of the coaches documented. I don't know, like, for some reason, she said like I think it was just gonna happen, and
Yeah.
she just pulled her phone up and start recording. I have to look for that. I could send it to you, and like if you want to put it up here, it's fine.
Oh yeah, that would be. I'll find one. I had so at our gym last year there was one lady that she got her first muscle up in that open workout last year was 25.2, and it just so happened there were like three or four different people that happened to be videotaping and managed to get the footage of it, and I happened to be one of them. So I saw everybody that was in there, and I'm like, all of you send me those videos right now. I'm gonna have to.
Right.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you. But it was like I'm sure you could probably like feel you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh man, this would have been what it looked like for you. That's such a cool experience. I mean, that's probably like, I don't know, you tell me, how did that feeling compare to like, you know, any moments you may have had, whether it be in a basketball game or like, I don't know, winning a drag race, maybe? Like, had you felt anything like that before with like the different sports or things that you were into, earlier on?
Um,
I feel like winning a drag race might be close, but I don't know. I've never had that feeling.
so actually, no. I feel like if all of my experience was combined, like sports wise, I would say CrossFit is number one. The reason for that is like with basketball, you win as a team, right?
Hmm.
With drag race, yes, you win on your own, but then there's a team behind it, right? There's a team of like, like you put money. It's more of like the work, it's more of like timing and money, right?
Hmm.
With CrossFit, it's more intimate to me, right? It's more of like, yes, we are a big community. At the same time, we're a small community compared to any other sports, right? And
Yep.
it also makes it more intimate when you're really good with the people in your box.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment, there was like, let's say just 20 people, and that 20 people saw you do your first bar muscle up. And I was like, even though they don't remember that, you being on the receiving end would remember like, oh, where they were, right? Because it's a different point of view when you're up on the bar and then everybody's just cheering on you, right? I was like, wow, like it's a different thing. Like I felt like I was Simba being like, so yeah.
Now that I'm gonna have to clip up. I am gonna have to clip up. It's just oh, but that is such a cool way to put it. Yeah, because like it there's coaches and there's other people that I'm sure gave you muscle up tips along the way. But when it comes down to it, when it's time to get up on that bar and get up over that, and this goes for any movement you're trying to or skill you're trying to unlock at CrossFit, right? It's like it's just you. It's just you when it comes
Yep.
time to actually put in the work, right? So, oh, goodness, I'm like thinking back to moments I've had with that feeling too, and there's not much better.
Mm-hmm.
It is really kind of it's like I don't know. It's hard to put. It's one of those that I want everybody have a moment like that in their life. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just some kind of moment where like you just got over the mountain of whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be a whole crowd of people that see it happen, but like somebody to be like, "Holy crap, you did!" Like somebody to be a witness to be like, "You did it!" Like, and just be able to celebrate with you, like
Right.
that feeling. I feel like that's something that can be that's an easy way to make sure people are get stick with that thing for the long term. Because I'm sure you felt it as soon as you got over that bar, you felt that reaction from people. It's like, oh yeah, I'm signing up for like, where do I sign for like a lifetime membership?
Right.
So that okay, so that was right before or that was the Open in 2024, and then coming out of that, then you're in regular classes and the kind of normal classes and things. How did being involved in CrossFit and being involved with that community, um, you know, help your life outside of the gym? Because up until that point, you were doing it kind of as a challenge to your friend, and your
Mm-hmm.
friend was like, "All right, do it until you get a muscle up." Now you're at a point where you kind of turn the corner and you're like, "All right, now I'm actually doing this because I want to be involved in this." Right? How
Right.
did that start to change things? Whether it was health, strength, performance wise, or just like work outside of the gym? What did you feel as you got into it for different reasons? We'll call it.
I feel, I guess other CrossFitters would also feel this way, right? It's more of like you feel like you're part of a community, like a secret league of, well, CrossFit is also a culture now, right? So literally,
Branding.
you, yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, I'm part of this now. I have a bar muscle up, right? I was like, once you got a bar muscle up, you're a legit CrossFitter, right? Like, no, I'm just kidding. No, you're not.
Yeah, I was just I'm like, hey, let me just throw in there. Just if you don't have one, you're still a CrossFitter if you come in.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
know.
I'm scaled athlete. I'm scaled all the way. So yeah, but that's how I felt. Like I felt like it's just pretty cool. What how it helps me outside of life. I was so conscious about how I lift things now, like
Mm.
like form or whatsoever. And then I'm trying to be better with diet. I'm not the best. I'm Filipino. I eat a lot of all sorts of fatty stuff. So um but yeah, like my family is not the happiest when I talk about CrossFit in all of the gatherings, or like trying to convince them like, hey, let's go to CrossFit. Or like, I mean, I'm not sure if you saw a reel of me, like, I think it was Christmas, when they're like, every time you mention CrossFit, you got to take a shot. I was like, man, I'm gonna be wasted, and I did, right? So yeah, but then everybody in my family, even they're like all doing some sort of fitness now, not CrossFit. So far, I'm the only one. I'm slowly getting my brother-in-law into CrossFit. He's in High Rocks. So I was like, okay, I'll do a High Rocks with you. You could sign up for a CrossFit month, maybe. So like that's a fair trade-off. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see where it goes. So it only takes one person, right, to influence a whole crowd. So I start with myself, I start with my family, I start with a brother-in-law, and we'll see where it goes, right?
Love that. Love that. And I mean, if that's it might be a good good person to start with, because I mean, I will stand by this. The best way to get ready for a high rocks race is to do CrossFit.
Right.
You might need to throw in some extra running here and there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you want to do like really well at it, sure. But just like generally speaking, you want to show up at a high rocks race and be all right, like do CrossFit. You'll be perfectly fine.
Exactly.
So
I
how
feel
does
like
that
CrossFit
yeah, go ahead.
umbrellas or branches over to a lot of different sports.
Oh yeah.
So it's just, I feel like once you're a CrossFitter, let's say you're mediocre, let's say even you're a scaled athlete, right?
Mm.
Um, the moment you get into CrossFit, I feel like you could easily transition to a different sport, no
Oh yeah.
problem, because every movement is somewhat there.
Mhm.
So
That is like at the heart of what CrossFit is, right? Like even going through like level one, level two handbooks and stuff, right? It's like it's a general physical preparedness program. Like it is going to get you ready for anything physically demanding that life could throw at you or that sport could throw at you, right? So like, is it going to get you like if you're playing basketball, right? Like, is it going to help your jump shot? No, but is it going to get you ready for the physical demands of like going up and down the court for a full game? Hell yeah.
yep,
Like you're still going to need to do the sport specific stuff separately. But just in terms of physical preparation for whatever it is that you're going to get into, man, it's got you covered
exactly.
in so many different ways. Back to that. So, you kind of mentioned it a couple times that kind of intimidation factor, like you even felt it, right? Like when you first started working out like with the basketball team, and then you said kind of a little bit even when you first started CrossFit. When did you feel that start to kind of fade away? Like was that when did you feel like, all right, like this intimidation piece that I thought or that I felt kind of coming into this, like I don't need to worry about that anymore.
That's actually, it happens to me, I guess, the moment I accepted that I can't just be so cool all the time, right? Oh, like the moment I accepted internally that, hey, I don't need to take myself so seriously,
Mm.
right? Everybody will fail, right? The more you fail, the better you are at, right? Um, the moment that happened, that the moment that light bulb clicks, I was like, oh, okay, like I don't need to be intimidated. I just need to accept, like, hey, I can't lift this much on a clean now. I could work towards that goal, but do I want to ego lift or go
Mm.
scaled? Right.
Yeah.
So, like, all of the workouts I started with scaled, mentally, I was like, okay, I need to RX it. Right.
Mm.
I was like, okay, I need to do that until one of the coaches said, no, you're still too weak to do that. You got to scale down. And then I was like, okay, I did scale down. Like, no, you still can't do that. Scale down again. I think there was like a workout of all, there's that one workout that really got me so embarrassed. It was a thruster, a run, thruster, uh, pull ups, I think. But there was a lot of
Okay.
thrusters. Thruster, run, thruster, pull up.
Yeah. It already sounds
And
terrible. Sounds like Fran with running, which is not a good combination.
so then I was like, I was down to a bar. And
Mm.
this coach was like, he was brutal. He was like, I've never really thought about a guy just going down to a bar. I was like,
He said
whoa.
that?
Yeah. I was like, I guess you were the first one. And I was like, wow, are you joking? So then I was like, I was laughing about it. But then at the same time, I was like driving home, I was like, man, he just emasculated me right there in the whole class. But then I was like, okay, after that, I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't do 40. A bar is 45, right? I was having a hard time doing it on a thruster. So then that's when I was like, okay, I don't really need to like be the best. I don't need to be the strongest. I mean, um, I just need to think about myself. It's you versus you, right?
Mhm.
My competition is myself. So then when that light bulb finally clicked, I was like, okay, that's when I was like, okay, I mean, it's good. I mean, I need to like just be better. And then now I'm like here, like
Yeah.
doing all this cool movements.
Well, and it took all that work and all that time of like scaling appropriately, finding the right weight within those workouts to then build up to, what you're able to do today, right? It's like if you had just, forced yourself to RX things when you weren't capable of, like you probably would have either led to being, completely burned out on the idea of CrossFit or injured, worst case scenario, right?
Right.
So the fact that, well, I will say I don't know that I necessarily agree with exactly what the coach said to you. The fact that the coach was able to, get you to scale in those workouts probably served you really well in the
Oh
long
yeah.
run, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, if anybody's listening, most coaches aren't going to say exactly what your coach said to you, even though it's funny now, I'm sure, thinking back on it. So,
So so in his defense, in my gym, they always make fun of me, and because I'm always just like comfortable about it, right? Like I make fun of them, they make fun of me in return. So you know, there was no foul. Okay, so we're all good.
oh, that is awesome. And I think that's kind of a cool, the way that you and it's a kind of a bit of a similar theme throughout your stories, right? It's like you learn a lesson or pick up on something, right? And then you start trying to see where you can have that influence on others around you. And I feel like, we were talking a little bit about this before we hit record, right? Kind of that message that you're trying to send with the content you create and with Scaled Athlete and even the logo you got behind you, right, fresh off the barbell,
Right,
is trying to bring down that intimidation factor for people around fitness, and I'm assuming CrossFit specifically, but fitness in general, right? How much of that is based off of like learning that lesson, that one you were just talking about, right? Like learning, like, okay, it's me versus me, this ego lifting side of things, and this forcing myself to like do something that I'm not ready for yet. it's not there yet and it's not necessary and I need to focus on what I'm capable of and just try to be a little bit better. Like how does that play into like what you're, the message that you're trying to send through your content and through, your the creating side of what you're building?
So if you see like what I'm trying to do if you look at my bio, I say I'm trying to make fun or make humor out of workout and challenges. My journey, I felt like it was always intimidating. Fitness was always intimidating, coming from being a nerd, computer geek, or video game, right? Everything was all intimidated because fitness is always cool, always, oh yeah, I'm so jacked up, yada yada yada, right? Um, but then I walked through that. I'm a regular dude, right? I'm not an elite athlete by any means, right? I guess what I'm trying to show people is that fitness is always based on your perspective, right? Everything is perspective. Like what I shared, I at some point I only went to a bar for a thruster. That's my perspective of like things. Like that's all I could do right now. That doesn't mean that you're not welcome in CrossFit or fitness in general, right? There's always a place for everybody. What I'm building with my team called Fresh Off the Barbell is actually things you do off the barbell, off the gym. It's That's why it's called Fresh Off the Barbell, right? So it's like it's you putting work for yourself, right? It's a fitness group. We meet up on Sundays to do run tracks or just do push-ups, right? Um, and these people I come out with are also not elites. They're regular mom and dads, regular people. They wanted to do high rocks. They wanted to just be better. They wanted longevity. And at the end of the day, we all wanted longevity, right? We wanted to move better, be there for grandkids, kids, great grandkids, right? And what better way to do that is to be mobile, right? Just move, keep moving. Um, I see that CrossFit has a lot of benefits with strength training is there, cardio's there, endurance is there. Plus, you could get to do to work on your way to bar muscle ups. But every single aspect, it checks a box, no matter what skill level you're at. Like I always hear people say, like, I need to be fit before trying CrossFit. No, it's the word CrossFit intimidates people. Yes, I get it. I was there. But the moment you just try it, you'll know that, hey, it's not all about being hardcore. You don't really need to RX every single thing. Um, that's one reason why how I came up with my persona, scaled athlete, because I don't need to be the best person. I need to just be the better me or better version of me from yesterday, right? And that goes into
Yeah.
life. Every single thing that you do, just do at least 1% better than yesterday. So I guess that's what the message is. I'm hoping to get more people involved in fitness in general, CrossFit preferably. Um,
Right.
Hopefully they sponsor us or whatsoever.
just
But
I'm just gonna keep tagging them in every reel I
exactly,
put, and eventually somebody will notice over there.
right, right. We get invited at Sivan or whatsoever.
That would be freaking cool.
Right, right. But yeah, I mean, I have I'm pretty sure in your box there's this strong mom at 9:30 and it was like, whoa, like how did you get this strong, right? Or this grandma who's doing everything scaled, but she's here, right? Why can't all grandmas be here? How can you influence all those generation to just try on CrossFit? Because if you really think about it, CrossFit is functional fitness, right? It's everything like carrying a box, lifting a box, putting I don't know, like putting I don't know dishes in the dishwasher, right? Like it's everything functional, which is really beneficial for every single person. Yeah.
I I love it, and I hear that, and I'm like, everything you say, I want to be like, yes, but I'm like, okay, I can't interrupt you every time you say something, right? But
PR, PR.
yeah, it's like yes, 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 absolutely, preach. But that's 100% it, right? It's like anybody, it's the old saying, right? It's like CrossFit is for every. Goodness gracious, I always get it backwards, right? Um, CrossFit is for anybody, but it's not for everybody. I think is the way we put it, right? It's like literally anyone, regardless of skill level, regardless of exercise background, whatever. I don't care what it is. If you walk into a CrossFit gym, like you're going to get a good workout, and in a well-run CrossFit gym, I want to put that qualifier in there because I know they're not all perfect, right? We've all been to
Right,
ones that
right.
are not great, and that happens. Um, in a well-run CrossFit gym, like the coaches are going to find a way to meet you where you are. It's going to
Hmm.
challenge you. It's not going to be like I never want to paint the picture that CrossFit is easy, but it's not going to be debilitatingly challenging, right? It's going to be like the right amount of challenge. So that way you walk out of there being like, oh crap, I didn't think I could do that, right? And you're excited to come back again. It's kind of that like balancing act, right? And then that's where you start to get the real benefits of like the community feeling like you felt when you hit that
Right.
first bar muscle up, right? It's like that might not happen in your very first class, right? But if you stick around long enough, those moments will happen when like you've got people cheering you on and you're like, whoa, wait a second. People are telling me that I did a good job. I did a good job. What? I didn't realize that. Like it's those little moments like that. And then the ripple effect that improving your health and being a part of that community, that type of community can have on the rest of your life. I mean, it's like, I joke and I say it at the beginning of every episode now is like, I'm on a mission to get more people doing CrossFit because I think the world is a better place with more people doing CrossFit, right? I
Right. I
probably say it a
agree.
little bit
Yes.
differently. That was a yeah, but it's like you think about all the things that you've benefited from being involved in CrossFit. Like if you could give that to, I don't know, half the people in the world, like the world looks a lot different, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so along those lines it's like why like the what you are trying to build, I'm that's why I'm like so excited as I hear you talk through it because I'm like yes I believe the same things. It's like yes the barrier it can be lowered and we want more people in and come on it's fun.
Right.
It's fun, it's great, it's good for you. Join in please if anybody's hearing this. So kind of building off of that and because looking at the timing of when this episode will come out, this one will actually come out the week before the 2026 Open starts, which
All
I think is
right.
good
Let's go.
timing considering the timing of that first muscle up you hit in 2024. So
Right.
I'm sure there's some people that are listening to this that are you know members at a CrossFit gym might be on the fence about trying the Open. If they haven't done it before, right? What's your what would you tell that person if you had a chance to sit down with them about why they should think about or why they should sign up for the Open?
Um, People always tell me, well, before I signed up for the Open, you'll experience the magic of the Open, and I'd be like, what the hell is that? Like I don't get it. I'm just almost 1 month in, right?
Yeah.
But right now there is such thing of magic of the Open, right?
Mhm.
It's I guess you get to know that you can do so much more things than you really thought you could, you know? If I could sit down to with my old with my past self, I wish I tried CrossFit from day one and just stuck with it. Um, I think the Open brings a lot of community. The Open will get you that push. Like let's say you want to do that bar muscle up. It'll get you that extra push from one, your community, two, your coaches, and three, especially yourself. Because you
Mhm.
just don't know, like, oh, that competition side of it uplifts you. Like, I guess that's adrenaline or whatsoever. But mentally, because you know that you're competing on something, you're just gonna do better than what you thought.
100%. And I'm going to piggyback on that and then go into my last question for you. Um, you mentioned kind of a piece in there of like a little bit about talking to your younger self, and I'm curious, and if you think back to the younger version of yourself, maybe in like 2016 or 2020, 2021, right, where you kind of in those stretches where you're, you know, fitness isn't really a factor for you, right, at those points, right? Um, Drinking, even you mentioned in 2020, a little bit, kind of feeling some of that depression setting in, pandemic, in those times. In those moments, if you had a chance now with the experience that you've had in CrossFit, you have a couple minutes to go sit down with that younger version of yourself in those kind of more challenging times. They hear about CrossFit and they're like, that looks weird what they're doing over there, but it looks interesting. And now you get a chance to go talk to that younger version of yourself about like why they should try CrossFit, why they should think about trying it. What would you tell the version of yourself, kind of knowing what you were going through during those times?
Well, one, I'm gonna tell them, or I'm gonna tell him, my old version, right? I would gotta tell him that, hey, if you actually want to meet cool people, probably get girls, go do CrossFit. Everybody is so fit in CrossFit. Everybody is so jacked up. Everybody's just really good, right? Number two, I'm gonna tell that old version of me, like, dude, like, you want to see your kids, grandkids, like you don't want to get all these diabetes and all this high blood pressure, right? You got to break the cycle now, right? Yes, you might go through depression or quote unquote the phase, but CrossFit is somewhat of a therapy, right?
Mm.
And number three, I don't know, or maybe I was a
Yeah,
number
they do.
four. Yeah. Number four, I'm gonna challenge that old version of me right then and there already, right? Challenge it early. That way I like jump in CrossFit earlier than I could, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Well, no, Gio, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing all of your story. That was it was so cool to hear and see what you've built up to now, and how CrossFit has had an influence on that, right? And how you're taking that influence and that benefit that you felt having an influence on others, especially your family, right? And
Right.
then on a broader scale, right? Everybody that gets to see the funny reels, and the content that you're creating too. So how can people? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you, follow along with your story? I know we've mentioned your Instagram handle a couple times, but in case there's
Right,
other
right.
ways for people to get a hold of you if they want to follow along.
Well, I'm mainly on Instagram. It's called scaled.athlete. Same handle on TikTok. Uh if you want to send me an email, it's the same thing, scaled.athlete@gmail whatsoever. Everything scaled athlete. But yeah, I mean, join CrossFit. You can do it scaled. You have a space here. You are always welcome. And like, don't get scared to fail. Don't get scared to look silly. We're As long as you get over that hump, you'll do great things.
That is that's a perfect bow, perfect ribbon to tie on this conversation. Gio, thank you again so much, man. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with a friend. To get notified of future episodes, please follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you can continue to hear these stories. For more behind-the-scenes content of everyday CrossFitters, follow on YouTube and Instagram at Silverback Media. Until next time, this has been the Silverback Media Podcast.